Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man that go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
I'm getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
All right. Hello, everyone. Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay? Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr._A_Shakur. Twitter at DGoddess27. And as per usual, if you don't like what the Queen is cooking, well, you already know what to do. Okay, so let's get ready for it. Let's see who's in here. All right, Juju. All right, shout out to my moderators because they put in work no matter what time I go live on a regular basis. All right, I see you, Desmond. Okay, so Auntie Leah's in the house. All right, let's get into it, Cookie. Okay, everybody, please hit that like button. Thank you so kindly. That's the way you can help the video. Okay, get out there in the algorithm. All right, hey, Sweet D, Dervis is in the house. All right, Soldier M is here. Most hated bronze flat power god Claudette. Tasty Cake is in the house. All right, Cookie, did I say you? Okay, so let's get into it. Now, before I get started, I'm going to have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. Hey, Hadassah. All right, Didi in Dallas is here. Okay, so above all that drama. All right, so let's get into it.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget, you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so now let's get into this because Truth Brown, shout out to Truth Brown yesterday, sent me this story about this white teenager. He was 18 at the time, I believe. by the name of Caysen Allison. Now, this also happened in Texas, and I find this all very interesting because this actually happened in 2022, and the young man is just now facing trial. Okay, so his trial is just getting started. I think we're in like day 3 of his trial. So with that all being said, the cases are somewhat similar, but somewhat different. So let's talk about it, because here's the thing. I hadn't heard anything about Caysen's story until it was sent to me. I didn't hear anything about this from 2022 until now. And now he's going to trial. So I find it all very interesting. And both of these cases happened in Texas. Now, the person who's saying self-defense, who's claiming self-defense, is a white man who's now 21 years old. This happened when he was supposedly 18. And the person whose life was lost was a young Mexican man or teen by the name of Joe Ramirez. Joe was also 18 years old. They got into an altercation at school, and Joe was stabbed, and he died. And this young man who did it is saying that it's self-defense. Okay. Now, the funny thing is, like I said, I never heard anything about this story with Caysen and Joe Ramirez. This obviously didn't make national news. But you see how when it's somebody who looks like me and then somebody who's one of the other people, well, this is what you get. And I want you all to pay attention to the narratives that are being painted here. There's really a whole lot of division. I mean, it's no shock to me because this country's always been divided, in fact. But one of the things that I saw, I mean, I've just been reading, I'm sure you all have seen it too, is all of these nefarious comments. And I want you all to see something that I literally just shared on my account on X, because this is just so ridiculous, in my opinion. These people really need to stop trying to paint a narrative. I mean, they really think, some of them, that we are not allowed, for whatever reason, to defend ourselves. Now, I want you all to see this. I'm about to share my screen. Lights up. Everyone, please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, this is what was posted to Twitter. Y'all see that? Now, pay attention to what it says. It says, let's go at the top. Okay, to the top, it says, this will be one of the largest protests in history. White Americans are done being pushed around. I find that interesting. Who the hell's pushing them around? And then it says, protect white Americans. Justice for Austin Metcalf. Demand Carmelo Anthony be put back in prison until trial. Peaceful protests. This is April the 19th. They're supposed to have this on Saturday at 11 a.m. Frisco, Texas, Wakefield High School parking lot. Stop black violence on white Americans. Now, this is all very interesting. This is all very interesting to me because this is absolutely crazy. Okay? Absolutely crazy. Anyway, this is where we are. And then they say that we make everything about race. Well, I'm going to beg to differ, because the only ones who make everything about race are the racist. Okay. And quite frankly, in this country, everything is about race, because it's always a matter of them against us. And that's just the fact of the matter. Some people don't want to accept that it's the truth, but that's absolutely the truth. Okay, it's them on one side and us on the other. That's just how it is. Now, with that all being said, I mean, I wish it would be different. It could be nice, but no, it isn't. It is what it is. So with that all being said, now let's talk about these two cases. First off, let's talk about Caysen. Let's talk about his case. Now, what I thought was interesting about this is that Caysen's case, actually, he was charged with murder initially, and also had $1 million bond. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here we go. Let me pull up this video.
I'm Dominique Lay reporting live in Belton. Both sides made opening arguments today in day one of the trial against Caysen Allison. Allison is accused of the stabbing death of former Belton High School classmate Joe Ramirez of back in 2022. Now, I got to sit in the courtroom today while witnesses made their statements.
Justice for Joe. We miss him. We love you.
That was the feeling from friends and family of Joe Ramirez. While I was in the courtroom, prosecutors played 5 phone calls made to 911. 4 were made by staff and students on the school grounds, including some who told dispatchers there was, quote, lots of blood in the main hallway. A student leaving the school told 911 they could see Allison running through the parking lot and driving away. After those calls, prosecutors also showed video surveillance from inside the school the morning the stabbing happened. It shows Joe Ramirez and a few of his friends walking into the boys' bathroom and Allison walking in with one of his friends moments later. The victim and his friends run out before taking off through the hallways. The video goes on to show Ramirez turning the corner and stumbling to the ground with blood tracking down the school's main hallway. The school's director of safety and security told the court that's when campus went into lockdown and teachers and nurses were seen giving life-saving efforts to Ramirez. A nearby teacher also testified about hearing, quote, really loud yelling and banging, and then witnessed, quote, a student had a hand on his chest and blood drops on the floor. She also told the jury she told a custodian to not clean up the blood because it was, quote, a crime scene. I got the chance to talk with one of Ramirez's friends, James Sandoval. He tells me he wants people to remember Joe as a sweet, loving, funny guy. I asked Sandoval what it was like for him to see the video of his friend losing his life.
It's tough. It's really tough. But yeah, emotions were high when that video was going, you know. But you can't, just watch them just bleed out.
Now, the defense says Caysen was in the fight of his life and that he was jumped by 5 classmates, calling it a group beatdown. They also say that while we mourn Ramirez, we're not here to feel sorry for a victim, and that, quote, nothing good happens in a boy's bathroom. Now, I did mention surveillance video. While that surveillance video in the school played, it was definitely emotional for Ramirez's family. Allison has pleaded not guilty, and testimony will continue tomorrow. We'll give you all the updates when we learn more. Reporting live in Belton, I'm
Okay, now let's go to another report. I want you all to get the gist of the details so when we do the comparisons.
That's what 2 former Belton High students said about Caysen Allison in court today.
The trial of the suspect accused of stabbing and killing Joe Ramirez resumed this morning in Bell County, bringing 4 new witnesses to the stand.
News 10's Madison Herber has been in court all day and joins us live now with more on what was uncovered. Madison.
Good evening, Lauren and Gordon. The witnesses included 2 people who were former students that were in the bathroom the day that fight broke out, Tito Shamel and Angel Murillo. Shamel explained to the court that he was a good friend of Joe Ramirez and was in the bathroom with Ramirez and Allison when chaos ensued, and he even caught a portion of that altercation on video, which was shared today with the jury. And there was also a Belton Police Department detective who revealed the crime scene photos from that day. And then there was also a friend of Allison's and an acquaintance of Ramirez, Raina Barber. She took the stand and explained to the court how she was trying to calm Ramirez down just moments before the fight broke out. Now, the photos from the crime scene followed a trail of blood droplets around part of the school, leading to a pool of blood where Ramirez collapsed. The detective explained that it was after getting photos of the scene, he talked to a witness who provided a statement and video of the fight that started in the bathroom. Video was replayed from yesterday showing the school hallway where you see the boys entering the bathroom and then leaving sometime later in a rush. And then the short video caught on Shamel's phone of what happened on the other side of the door was played. Shamel explaining that what he caught on video shows Ramirez taking the first swing at Allison, and then you see Allison pull out the knife before a loud scream is heard and the video cuts off. Barber said Allison didn't want to fight and just wanted to make it to graduation. And Shamel said in the moment, it didn't look like Allison wanted to fight. Barber also said that Ramirez and his friends were known to fight, and Shamel saying Ramirez liked having his fights recorded, and that this fight was planned, but no one expected it to happen on school grounds. Barber said it wasn't normal for Allison to have a knife on him, but she knew he had one because Allison told her he got one for protection. An altercation was described by former students that an argument broke out at a prom after party, and it was likely that Ramirez and Allison verbally fought over a girl. Shamel told the court that Ramirez looked surprised to see Allison in the bathroom that day, and you could feel the tension between the two. Barber is seen talking to Ramirez on the hallway security footage, visibly upset. She started to cry as she explained to the court that she was trying to tell Ramirez that the fight isn't worth it because they are about to graduate. Court wrapped for the day just 20 minutes after a fifth witness was brought in, Josh Grimes, another good friend of Ramirez, who was also in the bathroom when the fight started. So they will be back here tomorrow morning at 9, where the defense will continue to question Grimes. Reporting live in Temple.
Okay, now with that all being said, here's the thing. The young man, Caysen Allison, who's claiming self-defense, says that he was jumped by 5 people. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. Odd Negroes official said a planned fight. Well, you know, when we were in high school, we planned fights too. We'd say, meet me outside at 3 o'clock or whatever. That's just what we did in high school too. So that's no shock to me. But the thing is, it's interesting to me the way they're titling the headlines for Caysen, rather as opposed to how they're titling the headlines for Carmelo Anthony. Because for one headline from dailymail.com, for Carmelo, when he got released, they said killer released. And then they say something about victim died in his twin brother's arms. I know you all have seen it. So just think about how that sounds. Now they're talking about his family living in a $900,000 house in a gated community. What does that have to do with anything? Why does that even bother them? Okay, but then they call him a killer. They talk about how the victim died in his brother's arms. But with Caysen, the headline is Caysen Allison murder trial. Witnesses say teen accused of killing classmate in bathroom didn't want to fight. That's in every headline about this story. He didn't want to fight. He didn't want to fight. But the question is, how do they know he didn't want to fight? You just heard them say that the 2 witnesses who testified, one of them or both of them said that he looked like he didn't want to fight. How do they know he didn't want to fight? Did he try to avoid the fight? Did he say, hey, I don't want to fight? Did he try to exit the bathroom? They don't say that. So I just have questions as to did he or did he not want to fight? They're saying he didn't. That makes it seem as though he's not the aggressor. But in the next breath, they say that Ramirez looked surprised when he saw Caysen in the bathroom. And here's the main important thing. I want you to pay attention because Caysen stabbed this young man a myriad of times. He stabbed him a myriad of times. Let's get into it. Stabbing at Belton High School was seen on video, according to affidavit. An arrest affidavit says police obtained video that shows Caysen Allison stabbed Joe Ramirez in bathroom. So video footage obtained by Belton police shows the student who later died at the hospital was stabbed multiple times. According to the arrest affidavit, police arrived at Belton High School a little before 10 a.m. Tuesday to find life-saving measures were being performed on the student, Jose Joe Ramirez Jr., 18 years old. Police initially observed large puncture wounds, plural, to his chest. Once he arrived at the hospital, police saw that he had also been stabbed in the chest, back, legs, arm. He was stabbing him everywhere. Now, his friends can say that he didn't want to fight, but I'm not too sure that he didn't want to fight. I'm not too sure that he didn't want to fight. I would love to see that video because this was recorded. And here's the thing. The police, they have the video footage. Panther Strike said it sounds premeditated. Well, I'll tell you what makes me think that he didn't have a problem fighting is because he brought that knife to school. You see, they keep saying that Carmelo shouldn't have had a knife at the track meet, but Carmelo was not at school. And also, according to Quanell X, those are the same knives that they use to put up tents. And this is a small knife. And according to some students who go to school in Texas, they say that they're actually allowed to carry knives as long as they're like no longer than, I believe, 5 inches or something like that. And, you know, they also talked about how Boy Scouts carry knives. So they said it's not a big, you know, thing that a teenager in Texas would have a knife. No, that's what they said. I don't live in Texas. But anyway, so he brought this knife to school saying it was for protection. Maybe he knew or thought that he was going to get into a fight. I don't know. But here's what they say. So they say former students testified Wednesday at a Texas man on trial for killing a classmate in 2022 during a school bathroom brawl didn't want to fight. Prosecutors said Caysen Allison, then 18, stabbed Jose Luis Ramirez, 18, who was also 18, multiple times. Okay, during a fight involving several students on May the 18th of 2022. Police arrested Allison shortly after the incident and found a folding knife at his home, covered with what appeared to be blood. Former Belton High School students Tito Shamel and Angel Murillo were 2 of the 6 people, including Allison and Ramirez, inside the restroom when the fight began. The altercation stemmed from an argument over the girl. Now, I wonder if they said anything about the guy getting jumped, because he claimed that he was defending himself because he was jumped by 5 people. That's what he said. Now, Shamel testified that he had a close friendship with Ramirez and saw the confrontation as it unfolded in the restroom. He told the court he recorded part of the incident on his phone. Jurors viewed the video footage in the court on Tuesday. Shamel said the video showed Ramirez throwing the first punch at Allison. He said the video then showed Allison pulling out a knife before a loud scream is heard and the video cuts off. So it sounds like Ramirez punched him and then he immediately pulled out the knife. Now, Raina Barber, a friend of Allison and acquaintance of Ramirez, also testified. Now, the reason I point that out also is because that's the story they were saying about Carmelo. The people who don't look like us, that's what they were saying. Oh, well, he told him to get out of there and then he pushed him, but they made it a push rather than a punch. But Quanell says 2 students told him it was a punch. So it was likely a punch. But of course, they want to minimize it. So they said that he pushed him and then Carmelo went into his bag. Now, I want you all to think about this. Somebody pushes you and think about your thought process, your temperament, your attitude, everything when you were 17 and 18 years old. Think about that. 17 and 18 years old, what was your temperament? What was your disposition if someone talked trash to you or put hands on you? I'm going to tell you right now, when I was 17, if somebody walked up in my face and told me to get up, get out of here, first of all, no, because you don't talk to me crazy, first of all, you don't tell me what to do for another. But then if they put their hands on me, when I was 17, I would be liable to pick up anything and go upside their head. If I'm sitting in a chair, I might get up and crack you upside your head with the chair. It just depends at the end of the day. But the bottom line is these people that are telling these stories, the people who don't look like us, that are out for blood from Carmelo, they're saying things like, you know, they're saying that he should have just gotten up. When Austin told him to leave, he should have just got up and left. He should have did what Austin told him to do. Who the hell do they think Austin was? Who do they think Austin was, saying that he should have just gotten up and did what Austin told him to do? But see, that's the mindset of some of them. They think that we're supposed to do whatever they tell us to do and don't say anything. Just do it. Now, the fact that Austin is now deceased, unfortunately, due to actions that he himself instigated. Now they're out for blood and they're mad and they want to call someone who defended themselves clearly a killer. This is the narrative that they're painting. But anyway, let's continue. So goes on to say, Barber said Ramirez and his friends had a reputation of getting into fights, adding that Ramirez often wanted his fights filmed, and he said the fight with Allison had been arranged in advance but wasn't planned to happen at school. So they already had planned to fight that day, just not at school. Because remember, it's almost time to graduate. They don't want to get in trouble. So that's likely why Ramirez looked surprised when he saw the guy in the restroom. Barber testified that Allison didn't usually carry a knife, but had one that day because he told her he got it for self-defense. Caysen survived what could have been very well a bodily injury that could have left him dead by a group beatdown. Now, that's what his defense attorney, Zachary Boyd, said during opening statements, adding that the defendant was in a fight for his life when he was jumped by 5 friends. The prosecution argued earlier this week that Allison claimed he only stabbed Ramirez once. But a hospital exam indicated that he had stab wounds in his chest, legs, arms, and back. Witnesses described earlier this week seeing the victim with a gaping wound across his left chest after he fled the bathroom, bleeding profusely. Meanwhile, Ramirez's mother said that her son and the defendant had planned to have a weapons-free fight after school and off campus, which sparked over an issue at prom. She says, with my boys, I always feared that they'd get in a fight. The world is just getting uglier. People don't just solve things and move on. They go to this extent for just the stupidest reasons over a girl, adding that she had never heard of the defendant prior to the fight. We never even knew this was a problem. Nobody talked to us. My boys didn't tell me anything about what happened at prom. If convicted, Allison could face life behind bars. So anyway, the trial continues, and I'll be giving you all some updates. But what do you all think? Do you see any comparisons? You know, I'm sure you do, with the case that Carmelo Anthony is now facing. Stacy says Ramirez was a bully. He likely was. He likely was. Some of these kids, you know, they just are out here doing the wrong things. I don't know. Okay, so with that all being said, they did have, hold on. Okay, so they did have they had a memorial for him, for Ramirez. I'm going to play that. And then I want to play the video of Austin Metcalf. I'm going to play the video of his brother, what his brother had to say. What his brother had to say about watching his brother lie there and die like that. Because he said something that I just noticed just last night. I just noticed something that he specifically said.
Well, this morning we remember Joe Ramirez, the 18-year-old Belton High School student stabbed to death 1 year ago today. Well, this afternoon, his family and the community will celebrate his life. Texas Today reporter Meredith Haas sat down with Joe's sister to talk about why they want to have this event for Joe. She joins me live from the newsroom. Good morning to you, Meredith.
Jasmine, ever since Joe Ramirez passed a year ago today, it's been his family's mission to celebrate his life, and that's what they're doing this afternoon at Yeti Polk Park. But his sister, who I sat down with, Olivia Ramirez, says there's something that's been eating away at them this whole time.
We're still in the same spot we were a year ago.
May 3rd, 2022 is when Belton High School student Joe Ramirez lost his life after being stabbed by a fellow student. 1 year later, the family of Joe Ramirez says they feel like sitting ducks, waiting for Caysen Allison, accused of stabbing Joe, to see his day in court.
All we know is he is out on bond, and that's been really hard for our family.
Olivia says it hurts knowing Caysen has been able to enjoy time with his family, something Joe loved just as much.
We don't get to have that anymore. And to know that there are people out there who support a man who murdered somebody and want to have him sitting at their kitchen table with them, that's hard for our family. And that's hard for other people in the community also.
But that's why 1 year later, the family and community will come together to celebrate life, Joe's life, at Yeti Polk Park starting at 1 p.m. There will be food, games, family, and a walk to get Joe's face seen in the public's eye one more time.
We've got signs and stuff, and we're just going to walk down Main Street to let everybody know we remember Joe. Like, we love Joe and we remember him, and you should see like the love that all these people who love Joe and were loved by Joe.
Fargo.
No, I really hate to hear it. That's very sad. He was a handsome young man. My condolences to his family, friends, and loved ones. Okay, now with that all being said, now listen to this. This is one of the reports that came out. Because remember, I told you guys that he was initially charged with murder and had a high bail as well, like Carmelo's, but they reduced it. The highly anticipated trial of Caysen Allison, age 21, charged with murder in the killing of Joe Ramirez at Belton High School back in May of 2022, began on April the 14th of 2025. In a 146 district court packed with families, friends, witnesses, and many others who've been waiting 3 years to learn Allison's fate. Allison has been out on bond since July of 2022 after a judge dropped his $1 million bond down to, guess how much, you guys? Guess how much? Guess how much? So he had a $1 million bond, right? Carmelo had a $1 million bond. They dropped Carmelo's down to $250,000, even though Carmelo's attorney, I believe, requested for $150,000. They dropped it to $250,000. This young man's bail was dropped down to $175,000. From $1 million to $175,000. He's been on house arrest ever since. An arrest affidavit alleges Allison waived his rights against self-incrimination and admitted to detectives he fatally stabbed Jose Luis Ramirez Jr., 18 years old, during a fight in a school restroom. Yeah. So they say the jury also heard from 5 state witnesses, including a 911 record custodian, the Belton ISD director of safety and security, 2 teachers who witnessed the aftermath of the stabbing, and the school nurse. Prosecutors also played 5 911 calls by 2 staff members, 2 students, and a parent. In one of the calls, a girl identified Allison, claiming she saw him running through the parking lot with a bloody nose. Jurors also watched security footage from several cameras showing Ramirez and 3 others walking into a restroom. Allison and another boy walked in shortly after. 5 boys, including Ramirez, then ran out of the restroom and split up. Allison is seen running out of the restroom shortly thereafter. Jurors also watched footage of Ramirez running down the main hallway, bleeding onto the floor, and then collapsing. Blood immediately began to pool as teachers and staff surrounded him. Many of Ramirez's friends and relatives were in tears as they watched the footage. One witness, the first to render aid to Ramirez, testified the victim's breathing was rapid, shallow, and appeared as if he had a punctured lung. The school nurse said they gasped when she cut open Ramirez's shirt, and they found a gaping wound across his left chest. The nurse further testified that a student who had been in the bathroom was brought to the nurse's office and was on the phone with his mother saying, "Caysen stabbed Joe." Oh, honey, this is all so sad. I hate to hear stories like this. These kids these days are cowards. Now, some of y'all are not going to want to hear this, but these kids these days are cowards. This was absolutely unheard of when I was in school. Okay? We would just get into a fight. Either you win or you lose. Nobody's picking up any type of weapons, but these kids are punks. These kids are cowards. And that's just what it is. The parents aren't teaching them how to fight, aren't putting them in boxing, wrestling, or whatever. These kids are cowards. And this is what they do. because they're that afraid. They've never had a fight in their life, some of them, and then now somebody's starting something with them and they don't know what to do. We were always taught to fight back. You don't start anything. You don't put your hands on someone. You respect people. You be respectful and treat people the way you want them to treat you. But if somebody gets out of line, crosses the boundaries, then you have to do what you have to do regardless. And you better not come home crying and saying you got your butt beat. That's what you better not do. But these kids these days taking knives and stuff to school, they're afraid to fight. And if they're that afraid, maybe they should be talking to somebody, a counselor or somebody. Maybe they should be telling their parents, hey, there's some kids at school, I think they might jump me, or saying something. What is going on here? This is sad. This is really, really sad. Okay, but anyway, let's continue, because now here's another salacious headline they have about Carmelo Anthony, teen killer. And I want you all to pay attention, because there is no coincidence that they continue every time they talk about Carmelo to call him a teen killer. Okay, look at this headline here. This isn't even the one I told you about previously. The one that I previously told you about said teen killer goes home or bonds out, and victim died in brother's arms. And that's how they painted it. But they're doing the same thing. Terry Lee King said, we fought, and the next day we were friends. Right, in some cases. Now, you see that, right? Teen killer. You see, this is programming. I want you all to pay attention. This is programming. You keep using this word next to his name, calling him a killer. Nobody's going to be thinking about self-defense. This puts you in the mind of a murderer, someone who had malice aforethought, somebody who went there intentionally to start something. And that's the narrative they're also trying to paint, which is so obtuse to me, because how could Carmelo have gone there planning to get into it when he was not even the aggressor? Someone else was. Someone else was. So this is just all crazy. But hold on. I'm going to read this article, and then we're going to talk about the judge, because apparently the judge has had to go into hiding. The judge who gave Carmelo a bond. Now, the teenager accused of stabbing another student at a high school track meet was stone-faced as he walked free from jail. Now, I want you all to listen to that. Are y'all hearing this? They said he was stone-faced. Okay? They said he was stone-faced, as if he was just looking so mean or so wicked. Carmelo Anthony, 17, posted bond on Monday after a judge lowered the amount from $1 million to $250,000. Anthony was unflinching. Just listen to these words. Unflinching as he was bombarded by questions about his alleged victim, 17-year-old Austin Metcalf, who died in his twin brother's arms. They keep saying that. Do you all see this? They continue. Who died in his twin brother's arms. They want to invoke sympathy and empathy for Austin. They want to paint him as the perpetual victim, and he was a little angel. He didn't do anything. He just told that man to leave because that bad man wasn't supposed to be here anyway. Why would you be sitting under somebody else's tent? But what they don't tell you is that it was raining. That it was raining. That's why he was sitting under the tent. I was told yesterday that it was actually raining, and that was probably, now as I think about it, why the track meet was postponed, because they had said that too in the beginning, that it was postponed. So it's raining. He's sitting under the tent. They're supposedly in bleachers. That's another thing. I was thinking maybe they were on the grass, but they said they were on bleachers. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because this is secondhand information. But they said that they were on the bleachers. And so these two big dudes coming up to you and you're on bleachers and they're telling you to get up or whatever. I mean, you could have been thinking a whole lot of things, that they're going to jump you. Maybe they both put their hands on you. I don't know. But the twin brother said something that I found interesting, and I'm going to let you all hear it in a few minutes. So anyway, they say Anthony was unflinching as he was bombarded by questions about his alleged victim, 17-year-old Austin Metcalf, who died in his twin brother's arms following the April 2nd altercation. Now, as Anthony walked free from Collin County Jail on Monday afternoon wearing a gray suit jacket and a black collared shirt, he ignored the chaos around him, staring coldly ahead as he made a beeline for the waiting car. Pay attention, coldly, staring coldly ahead. They didn't say he just looked straight forward, didn't make eye contact. No, he stared coldly. These words are used for specific reasons. Carmelo, why are you armed at school? One of the reporters yells. Okay, explain your self-defense. How is this self-defense? Carmelo, do you have anything you'd like to say to the victim, to the family of the victim? I mean, they just bombarded with questions. I don't even know why they come out and try to ask people stupid stuff in situations like this. Nobody has anything to say. Move around. Move around. Okay? The 17-year-old appeared in court on Monday as he faces a first-degree murder charge for the death of Metcalf, who was stabbed in the heart at an inter-school track meet. He stabbed him in the heart. I figured that's pretty much what it was for him to die like that, because it doesn't even sound like the knife was even that big, from what I'm being told. So anyway, they talk about how his Frisco track meet stabbing suspect, Carmelo Anthony, does not address reporters as he's released from the Collin County Jail. Anthony's bond was reduced. Okay, they got that on Twitter. That's posted. He has amassed more than $415,000 in donations since the alleged crime amid an outpouring of support. But that money his family argued was to fund his legal defense and to pay for them to relocate and hire security to escape chilling death threats they received during the highly publicized case. Now, during the hearing, prosecutors had asked his father, Andrew Anthony, why he could not use the more than $415,000 in donated funds for his son's defense to pay the original $1 million bond, given that it was reduced to $250,000. Are y'all hearing this? Why is it your damn business, Mr. Prosecutor? And if they are taking up money for his defense, what are you talking about? I mean, it sounds so stupid. Okay, anyway, the revelation about how the family intends to spend the cash comes after a spokesperson said they can't leave their home after their address was leaked online. Okay, online. Now, they had been subjected to graphic and racist threats, okay, which included images of Black children with knives stuck in their head. Anthony's attorney, Michael Howard, said regarding the money, it would be disingenuous to say there isn't money, but it's not a bond fund. This family needs to be able to survive. Now, as per his conditions, Anthony will have to wear an ankle monitor and won't be able to leave his parents' home without permission from Judge Angela Tucker. Anthony's father and mother said their son is an A student and captain of the football and track teams at his high school. Do y'all hear this? Did y'all even know that? Yeah, I had found this out yesterday also, because the parents of Austin were talking about how he's a leader, you know, and he's the star of the football team and all this, that, and the third. Well, Anthony is too. And also, Anthony worked 2 jobs. Okay? He also worked 2 jobs. Now, with that all being said, he was described as the oldest of 3 children who had never been arrested before Metcalf's murder. He was the captain of his football and track teams at school and worked at Foot Locker, as well as a second job at H-E-B supermarket prior to the stabbing. A spokesman for the Anthony family was previously forced to deny that the accused killer had been bullied by Austin before the fatal confrontation at the match. Okay, now they said he was forced to deny. Well, that was a story that was put out there. I don't know who started that story, but nonetheless, he wasn't forced to deny it. He just told the truth. Now, the 2 boys had never met one another prior to the horrific stabbing. Now, an arrest report says a confrontation between the 2 star football players began when Metcalf told Anthony he was sitting under another team's pop-up tent and told him to move. Notice he told him to move, didn't ask. Okay, so anyway, and told him to move because he was sitting under the tent. Now, the 2 students from opposing high schools began fighting before Carmelo unzipped his bag and reached in, telling Austin, touch me and see what happens. Now, that's interesting because they say the 2 students from opposing high schools began fighting. So if they were already in the midst of a fight, And then he says, touch me and see what happens. How does that even make sense? You're already fighting. So you're going to stop the fight, say, touch me, see what happens, then go in your bag. I don't believe that. Whoever said that part, I don't believe it. That doesn't even make sense. Now, the report says that Austin then grabbed Anthony to tell him to move. No. Pay attention to how they're wording this. This is the police officer who wrote this. Okay. The report says Austin then grabbed Anthony to tell him to move. And Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest. First of all, he didn't have to grab him to tell him to move. Notice how they keep trying to act like all he wanted him to do was just leave. He just wanted him to move. But the thing is this, if you asked him to move or told him to move and he didn't, and he told you don't put your hands on him, then you should have done it. Like I said previously, he should have gone and gotten an adult. Go get the coach or somebody with authority, because he had none, but he was acting as though he did. So, you know, a person who I used to work for years ago, this person who's my former boss when I was in college actually told me that sometimes, you know, the people who don't look like us, sometimes they talk to us as if they're in charge of us or the boss of us, even when they know they're not. Okay? Just think about that. And the reason we were having this conversation in the first place is because this person who didn't look like me wanted to switch shifts with me because they had something else to do. So they came up to me and said, hey, listen, Officer Shakur, you need to work Thursday at such and such time, and then I'm going to come in on your shift at such and such time. And I said, are you asking me or telling me? And he was like, well, I need to work this. I said, okay, then you ask me. You don't come in here and tell me what you're going to do. Okay? That's what you don't do. And just because I didn't like the way he brought it to me, I told him I wasn't going to switch shifts. So he had to get somebody else. Now, when I went to my boss who looked like me and was telling him the scenario, he said, oh, yeah. He said, you didn't know that? He said, yeah, even when they're not the boss, they'll talk to us like they think they are. So I can only imagine the authority with which Austin walked over to Carmelo and told him, get up. You don't belong here. Get up. Let me sit right here. You don't even go to this school. Leave. And Carmelo was probably like, I'm not going anywhere. First of all, it's raining and you were sitting there first. Who would get up? I wish somebody would when I was in high school. I wish somebody would. No, I'm not going nowhere. Make me move. That's what I would have said. But, you know. So with that all being said, it goes on to say that he grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Austin in the chest once. Anthony reportedly ran away before being arrested by responding officers. He had already reportedly told a school resource officer, I was protecting myself, and he put his hands on me. So it's going to be interesting to see how this trial that's already in the process with Caysen Allison, how this is going to play out. Now, interestingly enough, Judge Joe Brown, I saw a video someone posted of him on TikTok of a clip, and he was saying that it was not self-defense. And I was very surprised to hear him say that. And mind you, he lives in Texas. He said it was not self-defense, but I think that Judge Joe Brown doesn't have all the facts because something that he said didn't ring true to me. Okay, so I'll get to that in a second. So likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now I'm going to play, I can remember what I was looking for. Here it is right here. Now I'm going to play the video with Hunter Metcalf is Austin's twin brother. Okay, so I want you to hear what the mother and what Hunter have to say. It's really nothing that outlandish or anything like that. It was just a little something he said that made me just sit up and pay attention.
My son is not here anymore, and I don't understand it. Just tell me about what happened today. I don't know. I got a phone call from Hunter. He was screaming that Austin had been stabbed. I was at work, and so I drove. I work in Grapevine, so I drove up to the hospital straight away. I actually beat the ambulance there. Yeah, I saw them have him come out. He was on a lot of machines, and it didn't take long for them to come in to say that he had passed. So not sure, senseless act of a boy that was in the wrong tent, and my son doing the right thing by telling that boy that he needed to be removed from where he was, and just doesn't make any sense. I mean, that's just because the kid was mad, my son is not here anymore, and I don't understand it.
Tell me about Austin. What do you want people to know about your boy?
Oh, he was the most amazing kid. Oh, so smart. He had college football guys looking at him to play in college. His goal was to play in college. He just wanted to play football. His life was going to the gym and working out and being a leader on his football team. And he just had such ambitions and a drive that it's hard to find in a kid. And he's just such a good spirit. And so many kids loved him. And his brother lost his best friend.
They're twins, right?
Yeah, identical twins. Yeah.
They've been like,
they are the best of friends. Like, just I'm so worried about my son, because he's gonna have to face this world alone now, because he had a brother that was with him the whole time, and now he's gonna have to do it alone. And I'm just so worried about him. I really am.
Was Hunter with Austin?
He was. They made him go away when they were doing CPR on him, but he was there when he was stabbed, and he was holding, I guess, the wound to keep it from, he was trying to save his brother. But I think he said he saw when he took his last breath and before the CPR came back in. So for what I heard, he was unresponsive for 5 minutes. They were able to revive him a little, but I think it was too little too late.
What can the community do for your family?
They need to support the kids at the school. Austin was loved by so many people. They need to know that there's other people out there for them and not against them, you know. And Frisco Memorial has got a football program it's in a process, and we want everybody to know that it's a family and they're there together. So, but just to put your arms wrap around the support. This is Hunter. Did you want to talk to him?
Oh, man.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. He's a good kid. We just got a little altercation, and that's really it. But he has a good heart. Everyone around here knows he's a great kid. He just one mistake from that dude, and just took my brother. He didn't deserve it. No one deserves a loss from a family like that. I know people that lose their family members all the time, but I just didn't know it's gonna be mine so soon. My best friend and my brother my whole life, but if y'all can just not y'all, sorry. Just thank y'all for just comforting us, and the Frisco area has been comforting my family and me, and I just really appreciate everything that everyone's done. It's a really hard loss, but we're gonna get through it with my family, so we'll just stay together.
You know, one of the best reasons to launch a product using TikTok Shop is because
I mean, our relationship is really the tightest I've ever seen in somebody, between two human beings. I mean, we did everything together, clean the dishes together, do the artwork together, sports, you name anything in the world, it's always us two and one thing. So you're always just basically one person.
You guys just a few minutes apart?
4 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Austin was first by 4 minutes. He got stuck in me.
So technically your bigger brother.
Yes, ma'am. He does a lot of big brother stuff around. He's always on my back. Even if I'm in the wrong, he'll always take my side no matter what it is. So it's just really heartbreaking to see someone that cares for you that much and does everything, even by your side no matter what, just pass away like that.
Mm-hmm. Your mom told me that you were there.
Yes, ma'am.
If you don't mind, what happened?
There was this kid, before I knew his name now, this kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless. And my brother stepped in and said, "You need to move." And he's like, "Make me move." Austin grabbed his backpack. The kid, I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see the stab. But then I look at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about the rest. So just that's just what I saw. And I try to help him, but
it was just senseless.
It was really senseless. Really, I don't know why a person would do that to someone just over that little argument. It's just crazy in this world nowadays how people just up and do that. Like a man has a family. That man has people that care about them all the time, and he did everything for our family too. He was a strong man. He was a strong kid. I was strong, and I know I'm strong too, but he's a little stronger. But he did a lot for our family and a bunch of stuff that we just don't recognize. And it's just like, especially throughout our friends too, like everyone knew, like he was the peacemaker. He was.
Okay, I really feel sorry for him. It's really sad that he's sitting up here crying and he lost his brother, especially a twin. I can only imagine. And I feel really bad for him. But here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention to two things he said. There's two things he said that really I noticed right away when I heard this video. The first thing is he said, we got into a confrontation. He said we. That means him and his brother. Now, didn't people say that basically they jumped Carmelo? Okay, I'm sorry. He literally said we. So that means both of them. And then also another thing that I noticed that he said was he said that his big brother or his brother would always take up for him or defend him or whatever, whether he was right or wrong. Whether he was right or wrong. What does that say to you? So nobody would be the voice of reason between the two of them. If one of them's doing dirt, the other one's going to follow. It's not going to say, oh, no, we shouldn't be doing this. Leave the guy alone. No, they're both down with it. He literally just said it out of his own mouth. Okay? He literally said it out of his own mouth. And he said, we got into an altercation. As a matter of fact, let's roll it back.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry.
He's a good kid. We just got a little altercation. And that's really it. But
we just had a little altercation. That's just it. That's what he said. We just had a little altercation. Okay? It was more than a little altercation because his brother ended up dead. But why would he say a little altercation? Well, that's to minimize his culpability. I want you all to pay attention. We just had a little altercation. And he didn't deserve that. Well, Carmelo didn't deserve to have to, be put in that situation either. Jeff said, ish like this is exactly why some brothers and sisters don't like anybody who look like them, and I don't blame them at all. Wait a minute, let me read this again because I'm confused. Ish like this is exactly why some brothers and sisters don't like anybody who look like them, and I don't blame it all. You mean who doesn't look like them? I think that's what you meant. Okay. Right. And thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, Sweet D said, how about just leave people alone? Well, yeah, exactly. And here's the thing. Like I told you all, they're saying, oh, he should have just done what Austin told him to do. When Austin told him to leave, he should have just left. First of all, why aren't y'all saying Austin should have just kept his damn hands to himself? Why aren't y'all saying that Austin should have gone and gotten an adult, someone with authority, to ask him to leave? Why don't y'all say something about that rather than just sitting here acting like he's supposed to just sit there and do what Austin tells him? Austin isn't anybody's boss. Okay? Make that make sense. And then his mother sitting there saying he was always trying to do the right thing. Ma'am, please tell the truth. Your son putting hands on somebody and telling them to leave, that's not his job. That's not doing the right thing. Okay, look how tall that dude is. I bet he's about 6'3". And then two of them. And how much does Carmelo weigh? About 155 or 160? Anyway, sad all the way around, but let's continue. I'm going to fast forward back to where I left off.
The field. Well, I had a blast my whole life playing sports with him my whole life. It was just me and him always get against people. And last year, the other was this year. So it's just really heartbreaking not to see him next year on the field.
So sorry, my love. Oh my goodness. I saw that he won like linebacker of the year
for the Frisco Memorial. He was
second team all district, which he should have been first.
Yeah.
But it's just everyone knows around this area the impacts of what he does for football and what he does for families and friends. Like, he's just a great guy overall to be around, and
hard worker.
Extremely. It's just really hard. It's just really hard to see someone go like that just for like recklessness.
Mm-hmm. My focus of my story is, of course, on Austin. That is what's most important. But what would you say about the suspect and what's next?
I don't know anything about him. We have nothing to say.
I've never met this kid until right then. It really was under 30 seconds, this altercation. I've never met this kid in my entire life. And it's just...
And to be honest with you, we don't want to give him any recognition or any care, because we have no desire to have anything to do with that man. So...
If Austin can hear you, what would you say to him?
I'd say that's really hard, but I'd say a lot of things because I saw him for his last moments, and it was just
how much we loved him. He knew that.
He knew how much I loved him, how much I do for him. I do anything for him.
Yeah.
No matter what. He's called me. I think anything that he needs, I'll do it for him. He's just a great guy. So when you have a great guy, you want people to be around you. They're going to be around you no matter what. Like, he's a great leader. That's why I always want to tell him, like, I always wanted to be like him in that sense. It's like how he just communicates and has great ways with people all the time. And I always looked up to him for like that. He wasn't a big brother in a sense. He was the same age, but he was a big brother than me.
We just want to make sure that everybody knows how much that Austin is going to be still in our lives, as far as in our memories and our hearts forever.
I really hate to see this, and I'm so sorry for their loss. I truly am. I'm so sorry the young man lost his life. He seems like he had a lot of potential. They said he was really good at football. He was like a star, and said the colleges were looking at him and all of this. He was going to play football in college. Same thing for Carmelo Anthony. I feel really sorry for what Carmelo is going through. He did not deserve this. He did not go there looking for a fight. He did not go there to start any trouble. And this is just a very sad set of circumstances. But, this is why it's very imperative for people to talk to their children. Now, of course, none of us know what they do when they get out of our eyesight. But you have to instill certain things in your children so that when they're not around you, that you'll know, or you can trust that they're going to know what to do and how to handle things. This is just all just really, really sad. Okay, it's really, really sad. Now, with that all being said, I want you all to hear what Judge Joe Brown had to say, but also someone who I had on my channel before, long time ago, about 3 years ago, perhaps, former police officer. And I heard him talking about this. And so I want you all to hear what he had to say also. I'm going to pull up his video. Here we go. Let's share my screen. Now, his title of his video is, "Was it murder or self-defense? Carmelo Anthony case exposed by expert. Okay, then, Mr. Nathan Daly, you say you're an expert, so we're going to hear what you have to say about all of this. Now, let me put up my overlay. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Here we go.
Or is this matter what your color of your skin is, you could still be a racist? Oh, wow, I didn't know he did that. This is why we have to wait for.
Fast forward some.
Let's go into the details of the case, followed up with what? The police report. This police report, a lot of people are gravitating to, and they're making videos and statements as if this is the Holy Grail. This police report is only about what transpired in that moment. These are brief preliminary investigations. It's not detailed enough. There's a lot of facts that are missing. Over 30 witnesses' statements are not inside this report. There's statements from Carmelo that are not inside this report that only his attorney has access to. There's video evidence that's been collected that we don't have access to. There's so much more context to this particular incident that we don't have access to, and the police report does not cover, and it can't cover. Why? This is a preliminary account of what took place. And listen, the officers in the department, apparently they did a great job managing the crime scene, getting the evidence and interviewing people and finding out who was involved, and also the witnesses that actually documented the incident via cell phone footage. Okay, so this police report.
Let's go fast forward a little bit more. Hold on.
Involvement. When you said we were involved in an altercation, my question, self-defense claim gets a little stronger. Okay, it gets a little stronger. Whether you like it or not, it gets a little stronger. Here's the thing. If Austin and Hunter together participated in the threats, in the aggression towards Carmelo, he has a strong argument for self-defense. He's not fighting one person. The fear of being assaulted by multiple people changes and raises the threat level and could very much well justify his self-defense. Now, here's the problem. If the brother, Hunter, was not involved, he didn't participate in the verbal disputes, he didn't participate in any threats, he never assaulted, he never did anything or any provoking nature, he didn't provocate anything, guess what?
3 warning signs your car accident is worth serious compensation. If you've been in a car accident,
the claims of self-defense greatly diminish for Carmelo. And what does that mean? Okay, you're not going to be able to justify using a knife against someone who pushed, punched, or assaulted you. There just is no justification for it. Okay, so that is the problem with this case. Carmelo used deadly force in a situation that on the surface looks like deadly force is not acceptable. But the problem is, and the key to this whole entire case, is what was said. This is equivalent to the situation that happened on the subway with Jordan Neely, with the whole idea that you can threaten someone and make threatening words and gestures, though you may never actually physically harm or touch anyone, is enough for someone to use deadly force against you. The idea that a person can make threats but never actually physically touch you, well, according to Texas law, here's what's interesting about self-defense. A person is justified in using force against another when, to the degree the actor reasonably believes the force is immediately necessary to protect the actor against others' use or attempted use of unlawful force. Why do I say that? Attempted use. So this is key, okay? Listen, in the cases of use of force and self-defense, I don't have to wait for you to use deadly force. If I have reason to believe that you're using a force on me, or you're going to use a level of force that's going to put me in great bodily harm or death, I can use lethal force against you. This is why I say this entire case hinges on the conversation and the verbal dispute that took place between Carmelo and Austin.
Okay, so with that all being said, listen. And what he said, I actually agree with what he said, because he's basically saying if the brother Hunter wasn't involved in it, that it's going to be a less likely case for him to, have the self-defense. But I believe that they both put hands on him. I believe they both I believe they both put hands on him, basically. And the brother just simply said, we had a little altercation. That's what he said. He said we. So I'm pretty sure he was there. I mean, first of all, just think about it. Okay, your brother, your twin, and he's getting to with somebody and y'all don't know this person. Yeah, you're likely going to help. So that's likely what happened. And they have a video. And then someone said, how come the video hasn't been leaked? Well, I was told, I can't verify this, but I was told days ago that the video has not been shown because the police said that if anybody dares to leak a video about that incident, they're going to jail. They're going to jail. And they say that the police have a video in their possession. And I believe the video shows that Carmelo Anthony was not the aggressor and that they both confronted him and punched him, just like Juanel X said days ago. That's just what I think, because I don't think they'd be threatening to put people in jail if the video wasn't going to show something that was bad for this, for the other side. Now, with that all being said, hold on, because I want you all to hear what this lady said on Law and Crime. I almost forgot about this. I'm going to share my screen. And again, I'll have to use an overlay because I don't have permission to use this video. But there was a Black attorney on Law and Crime who was talking about this. They were asking her questions about the self-defense, if that'll stand and all of that.
Courtroom where every seat was filled, the deputies provided more security than she had ever seen for a case, which is just an example of the attention that this story is receiving in Texas and beyond. Joining us now once again to talk about this case is criminal defense attorney Bridget Williams, who is based in Dallas. I know when Carmelo Anthony was first arrested, we chatted a bit about this case. Let's get to I want to start with the kind of the headline update that we've received this week, which happens to do with the bond amount going from $1 million down to $250,000. Was this a fair decision by the judge?
Well, let's start with one. I love the way that Judge Tucker phrases this. This is a bond hearing. This is not a trial setting. In my experience with Judge Tucker, she's always been extremely fair. She listens to both sides equally and gives both sides equal weight. So I think that she starts with the fact that this is a bond hearing. The purpose of a bond hearing is, if we reduce this bond, will the defendant come back to court, right? What is the likelihood of them coming back to court? And if they are released, what is the likelihood of them being safe in the community? So that's the purpose of this, not necessarily to determine guilt innocence at this phase. And so I think that this was a very fair decision by the court. She took into account what we call totality of the circumstances and what we use for every single bond hearing, the same elements every time. And then she weighs that and determines what is the correct amount. My understanding is that the defense counsel went in asking for $150,000, the state asking for $1 million. And so it's the judge's job to use judicial discretion based off all of the facts as it relates to the elements for the bond hearing, and then determine what is a proper amount to issue it, and also attach conditions, as she did do in this circumstance.
And because I do think when you look at some of the chatter around any sort of bond decision, and this isn't the only case where kind of public opinion, when a bond decision comes down, has people debating on both sides. Bond, and you talked about this a little bit, it's not necessarily saying, it's not to punish someone, the point of bond. And that seems to be something that the public often thinks its purpose is supposed to be.
That's right. I mean, it's not that at all. It's not supposed to. I think this is actually one of the elements, not to be used as an object of oppression. So the purpose of it specifically only is, will this person come back to court? And if released, are they a threat to the public or to themselves? And so that's what the purpose of that bond hearing is. And so when we go back to thinking of those things, I think the judge ruled fairly in this situation, especially adding on the conditions that she did.
I want to talk a little bit about kind of what we know about this altercation that took place, because I think since the last time we talked, there's been a little bit more information that's come forward where you have Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf who are exchanging words verbally. And then at one point, Carmelo Anthony says something along the lines of touch me, see what happens, and then says punch me, see what happens. And then Austin Metcalf, according to witnesses, puts his hands on Carmelo Anthony, and that is when Anthony allegedly takes out a knife and stabs Austin Metcalf. The defense, it seems, will go down this was an act of self-defense argument as this case goes forward. How does the kind of what we know
Through Rula, it's easier to connect with a therapist who specializes in you.
took place based off witness testimony compared to how does that align with the law and how the law sees what self-defense is?
Yeah, the law in Texas is very clear as it relates to self-defense, and that is, am I presenting equal force to that which was presented to me? And is that reasonable, right? So reasonable force is it equal? And in this situation, it's not necessarily equal. And so that's the reason why we have discretion, we have ranges of punishment, we have trial settings, and we have mitigating circumstances. So in this particular situation, in this young man's mind, he thought that he was being threatened. He thought that he had to give self-defense in the way that he thought that he needed to provide it. However, the law is very clear. Again, am I presenting equal force, which was given to me? So if he says, well, punch me and see what happens, and this young man punches him, that doesn't give me the right to pull out a gun. That doesn't give me the right to pull out a knife. It's not equal. And so that is the conflict there of what the state and the defense are going back and forth about.
Okay. Yeah, so she's basically saying the same thing, that you can't use the knife to escalate if you were punched or whatever. And but like I said, if it's 2 against 1, then the self-defense is going to stand. Okay. If it's 2 against 1, please pay attention. And I'm pretty sure that it was 2 against 1. He literally said that we got into an altercation. Okay. That's what he said. And you know that he was close by because the brother died in his arms. All right. He was right there beside him or behind him. He was somewhere close in proximity. And I do believe, in fact, that they both put their hands on him. So, and that is probably what led to the fear. But let's talk about this, because here's the thing. Why the hell are these people worried about the house that this young man's living in? Let's get into it. Carmelo Anthony's family wants to beef up security. Okay, that's one thing. Hold on. That's not it. Hold on. Here it is. Okay, now, they say Carmelo Anthony's family moves into a $900,000 house in a gated community, okay, and then buys a new car. What? And what's the problem with that? Do y'all hear this? And then somebody called him the scammer murderer. This is oh so crazy. Hold on, let me go to this video because this looks like a black man saying it too. Where is he from? Hold on. I just literally saw this on Google. Hold on. Right. DJ Big Six said pocket watching. You already know. Hold on. Let me make sure there's no music on this video first. Hold on. Okay, yeah, there's no music. I'm about to show you all this. This is a black dude. I want y'all to pay attention, honey.
Car shopping. This is from a story out of the New York Post that basically says that Carmelo Anthony and his family are now living in a $900,000 home in a luxurious gated community, you know, with the funds that they have raised from stupid black people and the BLM activists and the dumb EBT crowd that is now making Carmelo Anthony a civil rights hero and is now raising money for him. Oh, so what have they done? Oh, no. Not only have they rented the home in the $900,000 home in the luxurious gated community, they also went car shopping. According to this article, there is a Suburban, there's an Acura. A neighbor counted 3 cars in the driveway. So what is this lesson to black people? Number one, I don't think that y'all are ever tired of getting scammed and hustled. At this point, 5 years out of BLM, if you don't see it by now, you're never going to see it. So you just love being race hustled and scammed. I mean, black people have been getting race hustled and scammed all the way back to the OJ days. It doesn't seem like something that's ever going to end. And as long as you continue to get scammed and race hustled by these people, they will continue to scam and race hustle you right to the $900,000 mansion, you know, in that Suburban that Carmelo Anthony and the fans got the driveway. Carmelo Anthony.
Okay, that's just absolutely pathetic. Okay. I want you all to pay attention. Now, here's a report from The Sun. And aren't they out of the UK? So here's what it says. Sent home family of killer Carmelo Anthony to buy new house and security with donated $430,000 as he's freed in Austin Metcalf murder. Do you all hear this? I mean, that's a long title, isn't it? Because they had to make sure they put everything disparaging in it. Okay, please pay attention. The mom of the slain teen cried in court when Anthony's bond was reduced. Family of the teen accused of stabbing a student athlete to death at a track meet plans to shell out on a new home and security to protect the alleged murderer after he was released from bail. Carmelo Anthony walked out of jail on Monday silently surrounded by his family, who posted his $250,000 bond after a judge agreed to lower it from $1 million. Anthony is charged with stabbing Austin Metcalf. Okay, we already know that. Okay, so over $420,000 has been donated to Anthony's family in an online fundraiser for the alleged killer after he reportedly faced racist threats following Metcalf's murder. During the judge's ruling on Monday, prosecutors said that asked Anthony's dad why he couldn't use the donated money to pay the original bond to release his son from jail. Andrew Anthony responded that the money was going to be used for his son's legal defense and security to protect Anthony. Andrew also said the family plans to move into a new house for extra security. Anthony's lawyers insisted the money raised online is not a bond fund and that the family needs the funds to get by because Anthony's dad is currently on leave from his job. This family needs to be able to survive. That's what the defense attorney said. Exactly. Like these people are really getting on my damn nerves. And they're sitting up here acting like, first of all, of course they have to move. Their address was leaked online. Devils want to kill him. Okay. So of course they have to move. And why is the nosy neighbor out there counting their cars in the driveway anyway? And then look at this. I want you all to see this. I want you all to see this right here because this is oh my God, honey, to be black in this country is just a sad thing some days. Please pay attention. Y'all see this? Murdered in cold blood, they say. Wow, really? Y'all see that? Murdered in cold blood, as if this dude wasn't the whole aggressor. Wow, okay. Now, they say while prosecutors have charged Anthony with first-degree murder, the alleged killer is insisting he stabbed Metcalf in self-defense. Anthony took out a knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest during a fight. First of all, this whole thing, I believe, is a lie. I don't believe that much of this has truth to it. I believe that the truth is in the video that the police have in their possession and that there's a very specific reason why they don't want us to see it. Okay? There's a very specific reason why they don't want us to see it. And I want y'all to pay attention. Now, let's go to what Judge Joe Brown said, because like I said, Judge Joe Brown clearly, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't have all of the information. Okay, so let me pull up this TikTok video. Also, first I'm going to play a TikTok by this racist devil who was talking about Carmelo's neighbors and what they were saying about him basically moving in. Okay, here we go.
The neighbors of Carmelo Anthony have spoken out. Now, Carmelo Anthony is the 17-year-old high school student who is charged with the fatal stabbing of 17-year-old track star Austin Metcalf. Now, just this week, Carmelo Anthony was released on bond after his bond was reduced from $1 million to a mere $250,000. And the judge reduced this bond because Carmelo Anthony's father claimed that they were experiencing financial difficulties. Although information has just come out today that Carmelo Anthony is living in a $900,000 home in an exclusive gated community. Now, in addition to living in this almost $1 million home with rent estimated to be over $3,500 a month, the Anthony family might be putting good use to that Give, Go, Send fundraiser by purchasing a new vehicle. So in addition to pulling up to the bond hearing in a blacked out new Suburban, the Anthony family also has a white Suburban, a black Acura, and a new sedan in their driveway. Now, neighbors in this exclusive community are speaking out, saying that they don't think it's a good thing Carmelo Anthony is out on bond, and they hope the Anthony family gets out of their neighborhood. Defense attorney of Carmelo Anthony stated that the over $440,000 that has been raised so far on a fundraiser will be used to pay for the legal expenses and private security needed for Carmelo Anthony. Now, while it appears the Anthony family is mostly remaining at home in this almost $1 million home, the neighbors aren't happy that a murderer is living amongst them. And this is all the while Carmelo Anthony's father nor mother work. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, and make sure to drop a follow for more.
These people are something else, okay? They act like these people have to be broke. Like they are so damn jealous. Okay, what in the hell does the house that they live in have to do with any damn thing? And new cars in the driveway, and why is that your business? Clearly, they live pretty well, okay? These people are a mess. Talk about the neighbors don't want a killer next to them. Well, you know, they don't get to tell people where to live. Why don't they move if they don't like it? Now, here's Judge Joe Brown. I'm going to put an overlay on this. Likes up, everyone, please. Please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Once the arresting officer said, "I have the alleged suspect in custody," Anthony reportedly told the officer, "I'm not alleged. I did it." Anthony then said that McCaff put his hands on me after he asked him not to. After Anthony was placed inside the police vehicle, he asked an officer if McCaff was going to be okay and if what happened could be considered self-defense. Now, attorneys, Anthony...
Stop right there a second. He went wrong. He ran his mouth off too much. He had the witnesses going for him. But if he did that, then what happens is he just quasi removed his defense, because self-defense says you can't escalate the force used unless there is disparate strength between the person who is attacked and the person who is the attacker. In other words, a little old lady could potentially use some deadly force to stop a real strong young guy from doing her in. But two young, strong guys are not supposed to escalate physical force where it is of non-lethal violence into using a weapon and becoming lethal violence. So he shot his mouth off. He was doing good, and then he opened his mouth. So now he gave them some cause to say, okay, this is a homicide where the situation was escalated. He's an athlete. Why didn't he just respond with physical force? And if the assailant escalated it beyond what was an exchange of physical force, unarmed physical force, then he could escalate to match it.
So you saying that...
In other words, two guys are having a fist fight, and one of them pulls out a gun and shoots the other. That's going to be a murder case because the violence got escalated to another level that was uncalled for. Mm-hmm. If one guy pulls out a gun, the other guy pulls out a gun and shoots him, fine. If it's a felony murder, like I was describing, okay. But he ran his mouth off and said, I did it, and he got me scared because he went in. That's not an excuse.
He shouldn't have said nothing, but again,
kept his mouth shut. So,
yeah. Can that be used against him?
Yeah, it can. Anything you say can and may be used in evidence against you. The Fifth Amendment. You have a right to remain silent. You have a right to consult with an attorney. You have no obligation to make a statement, but if you do, anything you say can and may be used against you.
Okay, you all heard that. So what do you all think about the judge's take on it? First of all, he's just presuming, okay, he's assuming that it happened the way that he's heard. Okay, he has obviously not heard anything about there was two of them and that Carmelo was possibly jumped. Okay, so that's going to be one of the biggest factors in this, I do believe. And I believe that the police already know this and have it on footage on the video from those cell phones, okay, where it was clearly recorded. That's just what I think. Okay, so now with that all been said, let's hear what the defense has to say. Let's listen to what the defense has to say. Here it is right here. Okay, this is on News Nation. I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Here we go.
All right, so Anthony was being held on $1 million bond, which was crazy. Today, they reduced it to 250 grand, which is, you know, still sizable, but he wound up getting out. All right, so Mark, first of all, the idea of race, I mean, you lived it with Zimmerman in a big way. There's so many people who believe that that's why Zimmerman wound up beating that case. But what do you see here? What are your questions? What will matter?
Oh, no, it's definitely a consideration. It always is, whether it's a sort of obvious what we're doing or the implicit one, because we all carry these implicit biases with us that perceive or impact how we perceive an event. Now, what's really it's going to come down to, and I disagree with the guy who said this is not a self-defense case. Yesterday, I think he said it. This is definitely a self-defense case, because it always is one until you look at the facts of the case and compare the two. You have to compare who was the initial aggressor. Was it an aggressive act for him to go up and say, get away from the tent? Did he do more than that? My understanding was maybe he touched him and put hands on him. Granted, that makes the decedent in this case maybe the initial aggressor. But you really still then have to look at whether or not Carmelo Anthony responded with appropriate force, he used a deadly weapon, and whether or not he was in imminent fear of great bodily injury. That's the standard in Texas and most every state, to determine whether or not his actions, the way he perceived him, the way Carmelo Anthony perceived him, when he took out that knife and stabbed him. The good part is if the decedent was the aggressor initially. The bad part for Carmelo, if in fact it's true that he sort of said, touch me and you'll see, because that's that aggression, that's that predisposition towards violence that doesn't have a place in a true self-defense case.
What's the most important question for you in this, Mark? And then I want the same from you, Professor, if you have one. Go ahead, Mark.
Sure. Who truly was the initial aggressor? How did this unfold such that if in fact he had a reason to believe in great bodily injury was imminent, was it reasonable? Was he pushed? Was he shoved? Was he hit? Because don't forget, it's of the moment, but you are allowed to respond to great deadly force with your own great deadly force, or at least your perception of great deadly force. So it's really going to be fact-based. I do think that race, it's going to be played out on social media. It also is going to be played out in a courtroom if you ever get there, because in today's day and age, I would argue that someone like Carmelo Anthony now has a heightened concern over the past few years and the way we've sort of degraded some of the progress we may have thought we made over the past decade, as far as how we're treating young black males in the system, such that maybe he would have felt more preyed upon than he otherwise would. Interesting, you're right. We're going to be talking about this for a long time.
Professor, what do you got?
Hello? Oh, I'm
Professor?
sorry.
Yeah, Professor.
This is all about who the jury is. This will all be determined by the jury. If the racial factors were reversed, if a white man had killed an unarmed black man, everybody would be on the reverse side of this. We live in a society where everything is judged by race. You know, the Bible says to judges and prosecutors, don't recognize people, just do abstract justice. We're way, way, way beyond that. If the racial elements were reversed there, virtually all the people who are calling for him to be acquitted would be calling for him to be convicted, and vice versa. Let's not kid ourselves. We live in a race-conscious society, and jury selection, which, of course, your other guest is so brilliant at and did so well in the Zimmerman case, is determine the outcome of this case, without a doubt.
For me, it's as simple as, how do they feel about this proposition? Bringing a knife to a fist fight.
Right.
Mark O'Mara, we'll see what happens. Alan Dershowitz, thank you very much.
Okay, so you all heard that. Now, just a second. Okay, I'm sorry, beloved, but I think I accidentally put you in timeout. I didn't mean to. I was trying to delete your comment. You all, please be careful of what you put in the chat as your comments. I know you may get upset about some of the things going on with the case or whatever, but please be mindful of your comments, okay, or they'll have to be deleted, okay? We're not trying to have any problems with Screw 2. All right, so I accidentally put I am in a timeout. That was a mistake, beloved. Okay, so now Audra says, Hunter Metcalf said just one mistake. He confessed. Hunter also said Austin grabbed his backpack. Whose bag did Austin grab? This is a cover-up so that Hunter is not charged. That's interesting. So Hunter said that his brother grabbed Carmelo's bag. Well, he certainly grabbed him somewhere and put hands on him somewhere. I just want to know what's on that videotape that the police have. That's what I'm curious about. Now, let's talk about this judge, you all, because the FBI has conducted an investigation because the judge who gave him the bail, who lowered his bail, is hiding out due to threats. Okay, so let's talk about it. FBI is investigating after judge in Carmelo Anthony murder case received serious threats that forced her to increase security. This is a darn shame. Carmelo Anthony already has enough on his plate as he prepares for the fight of his life. But now the judge who basically allowed him to get out of jail has to deal with major backlash. Anthony had been in custody since April the 2nd when he was arrested and accused of killing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet. 17-year-old was released from jail Monday after his bond was significantly lowered. After an hour-long hearing at the county courthouse in McKinney on Monday morning, State District Judge Angela Tucker lowered Anthony's bond from $1 million to $250,000. She has now become the center of attention. Now, while under house arrest, Tucker said Carmelo Anthony would only be permitted to leave home with her permission. He will also need to be with an adult at all times. He cannot contact the Metcalf family, even on social media. Collin County District Judge Angela Tucker, who was elected as a Republican, has been receiving racist attacks after reducing Anthony's bond. Some social media accounts have been posted or even posted her image online and slammed her for her actions. And they say TMZ Sports is now reporting that the Collin County Sheriff's Office says it has increased protection for Tucker. This is a darn shame. This is going to really turn out to be divisive. Okay, this is going to turn out to be very divisive. You know what this is looking like to me? And you guys tell me what you think, but I tell y'all what, this really might be for them how it was for us or how we felt when it came to Ahmaud Arbery. Think about that for a second. What do you all think? What do you all think? Do you all think that they're going to have the same amount of angst and disdain about this situation as we had for what happened to Ahmaud Arbery? I think so. And I think that the difference is when we have those type of situations, we handle it, with more intelligence. Okay, that's what we do. We don't take it out on a whole group of people because a certain person or people did something. And we also don't commit to harassing and saying crazy stuff like making death threats and doing all the ignorant stuff that they do. Okay, that's what we don't do, period. We don't say all the hateful, dumb, ignorant stuff that clowns that are racist say on the internet, trying to dox people, posting their addresses, hoping that someone goes to their home and does harm. We don't do any of that. But God ruled the day if we ever decide to. God ruled the day if we ever decide to give back the same energy that we've always gotten. Okay? So, with that all being said, Jasper said the paradigm is shifting. Absolutely. So Hold on. Let me see this comment. Diane said, I could see if Carmelo started the problem, but he did not. So I don't care what they think. You're absolutely right. And that's true. See, they would have loved if that were the case. And they keep trying to say that it was premeditated, but there's no way it could ever have been premeditated, because how could anyone go there, show up there, and then someone confront them? Two people come up and confront him. So how's he the one that planned it? This is a narrative that they really are out here saying. And now I want you all to pay attention to what they're doing also. When they say these things about, oh, he's living in a $900,000 house, they're trying to make us, the people that donated to support him, see, they're trying to be divisive. You see, I'm going to tell you all something, and I need everybody to pay attention to this. Because what did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say about people who look like us all uniting? And then what did J. Edgar Hoover say about it? That the biggest threat to America is Negro unity. And so now they can see clearly that we're behind him. And we've donated money to him, thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they don't like it. So now what do they want to do? They want to put out a false narrative. Oh, they took that money and bought them a house. They bought a new car. They're living it up. Oh, they got money like that. Must be nice living in a house that's almost $1 million. And y'all are so stupid. Y'all gave them y'all's money. I don't care how much money they have. I would still donate. You sound crazy. And if they think that we're dumb enough to believe that they took the money that was donated for his defense fund and used that to buy the home or get a new car, they're crazy. Because it's the ignorance of it all. This is what they want us to think. And that's probably, honestly, what some of them actually think in their minds. Because they think that Black people are so stupid and we allow money to burn such a hole in our pockets so quick that we have to spend it as soon as we get it on material items, like fancy cars with rims. Now, some of y'all do, but that's not the collective. That's the narrative they're trying to paint. Oh, they're in a $900,000 house. There's 3 new cars in their yard. Who cares? Why are y'all talking about that? And why are y'all mad? They want us to know. They're not just saying it for them because they're hating, because they're jealous. Because the ones talking slick, they don't live that good. And they're mad about it. Just like on Rosewood. Remember when that white man saw Sylvester walking home and he was sitting there with his little hating buddies that were all racists? And he was sitting there talking about how Sylvester had a piano. He said, imagine that. A jigger has a piano and I don't. See, that's how they're feeling. Those who are so angry and mad and butthurt and talking about how much his house costs and the cars in the driveway. And the fact that it's a gated community. Like he can't live nice. He doesn't deserve to live in a gated community if they can afford it. Why are y'all bringing that up? Because they're mad and they're angry and they're jealous. And they're very much so even more angry because he was allowed to leave. And here's the thing. I want you to think about the prosecutor. When do prosecutors start asking defendants what in the hell they're doing with their money that they're raising? Why didn't y'all use that to get them out on the $1 million bail? None of your damn business. That's what I would have told him. That's not your business, sir. Because you don't have to explain that to the prosecutor. That's what you have a conversation with the judge about. Who does he think he is? And then let's not forget that same prosecutor said that they're talking about having to change the venue, but he wants it tried right there in Collin County, where the citizens of Collin County. That's what he said. And why does he want that? Because he knows they're all racist as hell, okay, for the most part, and that they're out for blood. And so, yeah, he wants it there, but hopefully it won't be there, because how can he get a fair trial there, especially if it's a bunch of people who don't look like him? Then they always talk about a jury of your peers. A bunch of all white people judging me. It's not my damn peers. How the hell is an all white jury for a Black defendant? How is that ever a jury of our peers? And I want you to pay attention, because you always hear the term all white jury, but what you don't ever hear, and you never will, is an all Black jury. Imagine that, an all Black jury when a white person's the defendant. Specifically, if they've done something nefarious to a Black person. You think that day's ever coming? No, it isn't. And I want to tell you all something too before I roll out of here. I want you all to listen. Now, I was going to talk about Harvey Weinstein, but this is almost 2 hours in. So we'll talk about Harvey on the live later on today. But here's the thing. I want you all to think about how they just lie to our faces, just say stuff that's not even true to our faces. And some of our ignorant people believe it and repeat it. Just think about how they lie to us. And it's so obvious that some of us don't read, research, or study or have any common sense because some of us believe the lies that they tell. Let me just give you one that they've been telling for decades. When we complain about oppression in this country, or we bring up slavery or the effects that we still suffer from it, then they say things like, well, why are y'all complaining about slavery? It ended 400 years ago. When did slavery end? I'm sorry. And I always used to wonder about that when I was younger. Like, why the hell are they always trying to tell us run game? Okay? Run game and say that slavery ended 400 years ago. Now make that make sense, because I could have sworn that the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in January of 1863. Okay? So how is that 400 years? I'm sorry, but it couldn't be. Not according to my math. That's only 162 years ago. So if slavery only ended 162 years ago, I want y'all to pay attention. Why in the hell are they sitting up here saying it ended 400 years ago? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because the truth of the matter is it started 400 years ago. That's not when it ended. It started 400 years ago. Didn't they bring the first slaves here to Virginia in 1619? Now subtract 1619 from 2025. And that's a little over 400 years. 406 years ago. So see, this is what they do. And this is why devils like Trump don't want anybody talking about anything pertaining to critical race theory. He wants to go up there and try to tell Harvard that they have to put him on the board so he can run stuff and tell them what they can and can't teach, because they want to keep lying. Slavery ended over 400 years ago. No, that's when it started. You see the con game? I bet y'all never even sat down and thought about that. So I was sitting there scratching my head. I had just graduated high school, and I'm literally sitting there scratching my head when I heard somebody say that. And I said, what? How's that 400 years ago? So I want you all to pay attention to the lies and narratives that are painted. And here's the thing. If you say something over and over and over again, they think that you can make it true. That's why they keep saying that Austin was killed in cold blood. They keep calling Carmelo a teen killer. Every headline, specifically from the Daily Mail. And for those of you who don't know, the Daily Mail is a conservative publication. And so is the New York Post. Okay, those are conservative publications. And so, of course, they're going to paint narratives. But, you know, they're not the only ones painting narratives. There's others, but they're the two main ones. The teen killer. Victim dies in his twin brother's arms. Trying to make it sound so sad. It's already sad. You don't have to embellish or just try to do extra, but that's what they always do. They always put 10 on 20 when it comes to us. But this story that I just told you about this morning, that's very similar, with a young white man now on trial, Caysen Allison, for stabbing not once, not twice, but multiple times. And I'll bet those 5 boys didn't jump him in that bathroom either. Okay? I bet those 5 boys didn't jump him in that bathroom either. They were probably just in the bathroom. Because I don't really think that Joe needed anybody to help him fight him. They said Joe was fighting all the time. They said Joe was a good fighter. He always fought, and he always liked for his fights to be recorded. So clearly he knew how to fight. Okay, so that's just what it was. He didn't want to get his arse beat. I don't think 5 people jumped him, but even if they did, the bottom line is he stabbed that young man multiple times. And his bond was even lower than Carmelo's. His bond was even lower than Carmelo's. And how come we didn't hear about this story when it first happened? And how come they're not even talking about it right now when the trial just started a couple of days ago? If somebody hadn't sent it to me, I likely never would have heard about it. Okay, please pay attention. This is all crazy. Now, hold on. I'm going to go to this TikTok video. I'm going to go to this TikTok video that I found where a lady actually did a TikTok on that story. Adrian says, Queen, the mainstream media has been their biggest weapon against us. Social media has been a bleeding in disguise. You're in a blessing in disguise. Yes, absolutely. Because they can't control the entire narrative when they have people like me on social media. That's what they can't do. You're absolutely right. Now I'm going to go to this video. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. We're out of here.
Interested in the Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony case. This is a trial that you were probably going to watch very closely. It actually started this week, and this case took place in Texas as well. There are many similarities, but there are also some differences. This is Joe Ramirez, and this is Caysen Allison. Joe is the victim. Caysen is the suspect, the individual who has been charged with the murder of Joe. Back in May of 2022, they are at their high school, Belton High School in Belton, Texas. That is north of Austin and south of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The security camera footage from the school shows 6 individuals walking into the bathroom, including Ramirez, Joe Ramirez, and Caysen Allison. It's my understanding that there is also cell phone video of some of this altercation that occurred in this bathroom, and allegedly this altercation occurred due to some sort of post-prom issue. The video also allegedly shows Joe punches Caysen, and then Caysen pulls out a bladed weapon and he stabs Joe before he then flees the scene, leaves the campus. So the campus is placed on lockdown. Joe is actually seen on security camera footage exiting that bathroom and walking down the hallway before he collapses. They said he had a gaping wound to his chest. So not too long after that, Caysen Allison is actually apprehended at his home. What they believe to be the murder weapon was found. They said that it did have what they suspected to be blood on it. And then Caysen tells law enforcement that he only stabbed Joe one time. However, Joe had multiple stab wounds in various body parts. Now, as you already know, since this is a murder trial, Joe did succumb to his injuries. And Caysen's defense is self-defense. He claims that Joe, as well as 4 or 5 others, were trying to jump him in that bathroom that day. Now, initially, Caysen's bond was set at $1 million. Eventually, then it was reduced, I think, to $175,000, and he did eventually bond out. Now, like I said, this happened in 2022, so next month, in just a few weeks, we were coming up on the 3-year anniversary of this incident. Both boys were 18 years old at the time that this happened. Caysen Allison is now 21 years old, and prosecutors in opening statements allege that Caysen Allison, then 18 years old, stabbed Jose Joe Ramirez Jr., 18, multiple times during a fight involving several students on May the 18th of 2022 at Belton High School in Belton, Texas. Caysen did waive his right to self-incrimination, and he did tell detectives that he fatally stabbed Joe during a fight in the school restroom. So the defense is saying that Caysen was attacked by 5 different people, one of those being Joe Ramirez, and that he responded by stabbing in self-defense. They also point out that that bathroom had a 4-person occupancy limit, which if you have a knife at school, I don't think you're worried about the occupancy limit of the bathroom. This trial is expected to last just about a week, so we should know very soon, I would say, possibly at the end of this week, possibly early next week, what the verdict is going to be in this case. Now, obviously, the similarities are one person used a bladed weapon to end the life of another person. Other similarities are some sort of altercation prior to the knife being pulled out and being used. Now, Caysen, as Carmelo also does, faces anywhere from 5 to 99 years in prison if he is found guilty. But there are some differences, and those differences are obvious. So Caysen stabbed Joe multiple times. However, it's reported that Caysen was allegedly jumped by 5 other individuals and that Joe is the one who threw the first punch. Other similarities are that Caysen and his attorney are claiming self-defense, and we are also seeing that with the Carmelo Anthony case. It seems, based off of his attorney's interview, that that is the defense that they are sticking with. So, what do you guys think about this case? Other similarities, differences?
Okay, excuse me. Okay, so with that all being said, listen, you know, they, like I said, in the case with Caysen, they actually have video footage or whatever showing what happened, or they show them going in the bathroom and they show them coming out. And they also have video footage of the fight because somebody, I don't know how many people, but somebody was clearly recording it. They even, until the point where you heard someone scream, which was probably Joe screaming after he realized he'd been stabbed in the chest. So sad. So anyway, with that all being said, definitely some very different circumstances that occurred. But the bottom line is both defendants have pled not guilty. Both claim self-defense. Both initially had $1 million bond and was charged with first-degree murder. And then both had their bonds lowered. So, and like I told you all, please pay attention. If they do not lower the charges for Carmelo, if he goes to trial still facing first-degree murder, how is that going to play out for the jury? Because when you describe what happened, that's absolutely not first-degree murder. He didn't lie in wait. He didn't plan it. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Now, unless they're trying to say that it was premeditated the moment he went in the bag and pulled out the knife, they could try to make that argument, because here's the thing. Premeditated doesn't mean that you had to plan it like a week or a whole day even in advance. You could literally premeditate something in a span of moments. So they may try to use that, but either way, it's not premeditated, in my opinion, because he didn't come there for that. And at the end of the day, if there were both of them trying to attack him or had put hands on him, which I believe that they absolutely did, and I also think that's the main reason they don't want us to see that footage that the police supposedly have. I think that's the main reason that they supposedly, allegedly told people if the videos get leaked, somebody's going to jail, because I think it just shows the truth that they came up to Carmelo and they started it. And we know that more than words were exchanged. The brother said an altercation. We had a little altercation. Okay, Diane said, I don't believe he meant to unalive the young man. I do not believe he meant to stab him in the heart. No, of course he didn't. And here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because here's the thing too. And this is something that I haven't heard any of them really talking about in the media. So they say that Carmelo was really crying really hard. See, when they tell the story in the media, they'll say, oh, he told the officer, I'm not alleged, I did it. Because somebody actually accused him of bragging about it. That's the word they used. They said he was bragging like, oh, I'm not alleged, I did it. He didn't say it like that. How could someone be so obtuse? But that's someone painting a narrative. But they said that he was bawling, literally crying, broken down crying when he talked to the officer. Okay? He was admitting to it, even though he shouldn't have said anything. That's another thing you all need to teach your children. My sons know, they've always known. You don't ever talk to the police and give them information about anything, because the police will twist and mince your words sometimes. And you're a Black man living in the United States, one of the most racist countries in the world. Actually, the most racist. But with that all being said, you just tell them you want to speak to an attorney, and that's it, and that's all. But he did run his mouth. DJ Big Six said mens rea. Mens rea. That's going to play a part too if they keep up the ruse of capital murder in the first, premeditated. Because with that comes mens rea, which means a guilty mind. Did Carmelo Anthony, have a guilty mind? No, he did not. I wouldn't think so. He didn't intend to kill him. He didn't go there to kill him. He didn't plot or plan to kill him. He was afraid, and he was defending himself in his mind. That's what he was doing. Now, some of us may not have gone that far to defend ourselves, but hey, you can't tell someone what to do, especially someone who's afraid. People who are fearful don't tend to think logically for the most part, in my opinion. Okay? With that all being said, I'm going to tell you this. If I was about to get jumped by two people who are like twice my size, and I have a chance to pick up something, I'm going to do it. If it's one-on-one, that's one thing. But if it's two and y'all are way bigger than me, yeah, I'm definitely going to pick up something because the fight's already not fair. The fight's already not fair. So as far as I'm concerned, I got to do what I got to do. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to let y'all go. I hope you all enjoyed the broadcast. For those of you who follow the spiritual channel, I will be going live on there at 12 o'clock. And actually, I'm going to go earlier. Okay, it's 10:40. I'm going to go live on there at 11:30. Okay, because I have something to do today. So I'm going live on there at 11:30. And also, I'm going to post something for the members. Okay, now, with that all being said, Easy says, Queen, the police did not Mirandize him when handcuffed. You're talking about Carmelo Anthony? They didn't have to. They didn't have to, beloved. The police, see, that's the thing. The police only have to read you your rights when they're interrogating you. If they're going to interrogate you and start asking you questions now, and they usually, they usually reserve that for when they get in something like a case like this, they would usually reserve that to when they get to the police station. Now, if you start running your mouth right there on the scene and telling them stuff, they're not going to stop you. They're going to sit there and listen and let you tell them whatever. But at the end of the day, as soon as they start asking you questions, okay, interrogating you, then they're supposed to read you your rights. Okay? So with that all being said, that's a misconception. I know that we get that in our heads from watching television so much. D Major Scaling Up said, you have some of the best reporting I've seen. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Yeah, we get that from just watching movies and shows and stuff about the police. And that's what they do. They start reading the person their rights. That's just all cap. They don't do that until they start interrogating you. That's what that's for. They have to let you know your rights then. Because if they're asking you questions, that's when they got to let you know you have the right to remain silent. Now, if they don't ask you anything, that's a different story. Okay? And guess what? You should always invoke your right to remain silent. Period. Enough said. They can't make you talk to them. And then they'll try to use the good cop, bad cop routine, or they'll try to act like they're so nice and they're going to help you. Oh, if you just cooperate, we can do this, we can do that. No, I don't want to say anything further until I speak to my attorney. And that's it. Period. Even if you didn't do anything, still say it. Because even if you didn't do anything, you could still say something that could possibly cause you some problems down the line. You never know. Okay, you never know. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And if you are a new subscriber on this channel, let me just tell you, thanks for joining the Royals, but also please double check to make sure that you're still subscribed. Okay, especially if you notice that you're not getting notifications, because YouTube does absolutely unsubscribe people for whatever nefarious reason on a regular basis. All right, so I love you all to life, and I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got